Welcome to the final part of the Tunisian patchwork cowl. You are going to need a nice long cord on your hook for this, as there will be nearly 300 stitches along each side. You're also going to need loads of stitch markers. I have a pot full at the ready. Right. You should have your stitch markers in your blocks. Now these are the ones that you were told to put in the pattern. You should have left the edging ones in. You can take all the others out, but the ones that go along the edge, you should have both of them in each block. If you haven't, pause the video and take time to do it now. The other thing is, I'm using my colours the wrong way round. The reason being that it's easier for you to see the stitches. The actual blanket does have the colours the right way round, as you will see from the pattern, but for the video I'm using different colours to make them easier for you to see. First of all, we need to start with a slip knot on your hook. Oops. Now, we're doing a stitch called a Tunisian back post simple stitch. What you need to remember is where you've put your marker in, it's the stitch that is behind it, which is the post of the stitch. So we're going in from the back, around the post and back out, and then yarn over and pulling a loop up. Now the pattern gives you lots of different lines with stitch counts at the end of each line. The reason for this is to make it easier for you to check that you've got the right number of stitches on there. So this one, you will notice 2 in brackets, so get one of your stitch markers and slip it on the hook. The next thing is you then need to carry on with the pattern, so you're doing 1, 2, 3. Your next one is a yarn over, and you will notice it says yarn over and 4 stitches. So you do 1 yarn over and then another 4. So hook in from the back, around the post, yarn over and pull it through. It is a little bit fiddly to do. If you have problems doing it this way, you can use a different stitch instead, but you won't get this nice bit across the front if you do that. That's it. 4 stitches and a yarn over. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a yarn over. 1, 2, 3, oops, 4, and your yarn over, and finally another 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the reason for putting the marker on your hook at this end is so that you can count from the marker and double check that you've got the same amount of stitches that it says in the pattern. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 23. So that's the right amount of stitches, and pop another marker on. Your next bit is to do your 4 marked stitches either side of your join. Again, the stitch is the one that comes before the marker. So we've got 1 there, 1 there, then over here, it's actually this one down here because it's the post before the marker. So we're going in down there. Oops, I dropped that one. Like I said, it's a bit fiddly, this first row. So it's that one down there. And that one there. Now you can see we have, so these are your 4 marked stitches here, and we have 4 loops on the hook. Pop another marker on. Your next one is 55 stitches. So we are starting with 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make sure you leave these markers in. If you need a mistake, you've still got your markers in to help you redo it. Yarn over and 4 stitches to the end. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over and 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not going all the way along. You can follow the pattern here. Make sure that you have 4 stitches between each marker there, and however many it says on the pattern along the side. So I'm going to stop this here, do the rest of the row, and then put it back on in a minute when I come to do the taking of this off. And back to where I showed you this first bit. When we take the loops off, going past the markers, you need to take the markers off as well. So it's yarn over, 2 loops off. Now we've come to a marker, so it's yarn over, take your 2 loops and your marker off. Then 2, 2, and 2, then 2 and your marker. And do this all the way to the end so that your markers are actually trapped in your work. There is a reason for this. You will see that in a minute. You treat your yarn overs as a regular stitch. So just yarn over and 2 off as you work past them. So the reason for adding the yarn overs in, when we did the double crochets along the edge, singles for the US terms, we had to lose some stitches because those stitches are actually wider than the Tunisian stitches. So we're now doing the opposite. We are adding stitches in to compensate for the wider double crochets. And again, here, look, yarn over that one and the marker, and then another 2. And that's our first row. You can see how you've got the ridges underneath, and that gives you a nice little pattern just there. Right. The reason I wanted you to leave the markers in, it's really easy to mistake the yarn over for 2 stitches instead of just 1. If you look at the back, you can see this is the yarn over. You've got 1 there and 1 there. When working your reverse stitch, you only pick up that one and not that one. So by leaving your markers in, again, you can double check that you've got the right number of stitches per block as you go. We have 1 loop on the hook. We then need a reverse stitch in our next loop. So that's 2. Shift the marker over, and then we need to pick up 23 across here. So that's 1, 2, 3. We then have the yarn over, so just pick up the one side of it, and then we have the other 4. Then again, just pick up one side of the yarn over, and then your next 4. As you can see, I'm still using the first row to help me make sure that I've got the amount of stitches correct on the hook. So first part of the yarn over, and then your next 4 stitches. And again, first part of your yarn over and your next 4 stitches. Okay, so now we can double check that we've got 23 stitches on the hook between that marker and that one. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 23. Right, then we're picking up 4 stitches between these 2 markers. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't need to count those. And then we need to pick up our stitches as we go along here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and the first part of the yarn over. Okay, so you can take these other markers out. Always leave your last one in so as you've got one to count back to. Okay, the other thing that you can do is make sure that you count your first stitches number 1, and you can put a marker in every 30 stitches. You can then move these up as you go. Because the pattern repeats are in 3 stitches, it will help you get your pattern repeats correct later on. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. So pop your stitch marker on after your 30th loop. Still leave that one in, and then as you go along, just pop one in every 30 stitches. Right, we're going to pause this again. The next 2 rows are relatively simple. We have 2 Tunisian reverse stitch and a yarn over and miss 1 and repeat. This gives you these nice big holes here, which we will be using soon. The next row is knit stitch all the way along, so you have 2 done as normal and 1 into the yarn over so that you still have the correct stitches. You can see that I've moved the marker up. It's still in my 30th stitch, but I've moved it up each row to keep an eye on that bit. So this is the next bit. We do 2 knit stitches, then a Tunisian reverse double treble into the stitch that we've missed in the yellow row below. This is all quite easy. So 1, 2 knit stitch. Your double treble is a treble in US terms. So we have yarn over twice. Don't pick it up from behind. Go in front of the purple and pick it up there. Yarn over and through, yarn over hook, and take 2 loops off twice. This gives you 1 extra loop on your hook. And just repeat this all the way along. 1, 2 knit stitch, yarn over twice, into that stitch below there, yarn over hook and through, yarn over hook, and take 2 loops off twice. 2 knit stitch. Just carry on all the way along, and this gives you these little squares. The closing is normal, so I don't think you need any more help with that bit. Just carry on following the pattern, and you then repeat from row 2 after doing row 5.